This next section of the Siddur parallels how we spoke of redemption right before we began to pray, and begins to move backwards through that whole section of prayer in the Siddur, which is actually paralleling the world of Yisrael, of Shema Yisrael, with the world now of Leah, the matriarch who was the matriarch of children. In LeTzion, we're actually talking about how so many generations, so many aware beings have contributed to the full consciousness of the divine. In this, now we're actually celebrating the fact that we have children. And you know, there's different ways in which you can relate to your having children, and I'm not going to, by this, suggest that the one I'm going to talk about now is the only way. But there is something about our children that are sort of the expanding awareness which we never accessed and achieved ourselves. You see, if you think of yourself as someone who's a wisdom seeker, who's been learning Torah and has been learning the divine wisdom in a way in which you're always aware that on the one hand, you are here learning as much of the truth that you can, but on the other, you're only really able to access a very particular aspect of that truth because we never see the entirety. We're actually built to see a very particular vantage point. And if you've learned to enjoy that and appreciate that, which involves so much appreciating yourself, so then from that vantage point, you can even more appreciate having children. You see, children are in a way your consciousness expanded, your exploration spelled out even to more and different ways of seeing things than you ever could have imagined. One of the great joys in having children and listening to them is seeing how I get that. I see that. I can even see how there's kind of a nascent spark of what you're talking about that's in me, a certain way of being that I also have, but I never really fully played out, and appreciate and love the fact that they're continuing to spell out the awareness of Hashem in the myriad different ways and unique ways which they contribute to creation. So that's what this prayer is actually about, a redemption which is going to come by virtue of the children. And within it, you'll notice that there are actually prayers about them and that we shouldn't give birth for naught and that there should be the generations that continue to study and learn your Torah. This, as we said, is parallel to the section of the Siddur which was defined by Yisrael and Shema Yisrael. And the wife of Yisrael, for this purpose, is Leah. Leah is the matriarch of children. She has more children than any other woman in Yaakov and Yisrael's family. She's particularly married to Yisrael, who is forward-looking towards the future in which the divine oneness will be known. In fact, the rabbis say that what it says in the verse about her, Leah eineha rakot, that she had soft eyes, which means a blurred vision, which we in a sense imitate when we cover our eyes during Shema, also had einaim arukot. She had long, distant eyes looking towards the future. And if you explore things which I spell out in my book, and I think you'd really appreciate them if you're enjoying this kind of Torah, so then you'll recognize that actually Yaakov, as we're going to meet in the next section, the Shir Shel Yom, which is parallel to Rachel and Yaakov and his love of beauty, Yisrael is focused on the consciousness and awareness which is forever opening up through our efforts and through the efforts of our children. And so together now, when we enter into LeTzion, we can really appreciate how this is the world of the feminine desire and drive to have children, and it gives it a whole new vantage point on what it is that drive is built on. Of course, it's our desire to be giving life. Of course, it's our desire to love and cherish that which Hashem has made in this world and has given us the great honor and privilege to be able to bring life and give life. And yes, it is also our commitment to an ever-expanding awareness of Hashem from all the myriad different vantage points, which our children are now going to be adding to as we travel through the generations. So join me after this teaching for a meditation on that unfolding of the generations of wisdom and understanding through our children. In this meditation, we're going to open ourselves up to Hashem's wisdom as it has passed through the generations that preceded us, coming through us, and then being passed on to generations yet to come, each soul adding its own special light. Let's allow ourselves first to relax into the simple presence of Makom, the here and now, which we are gifted to be present in. Allow yourself to settle into the place that you are currently sitting. Your feet comfortably resting on the ground. Allowing yourself to open up to the space around you in a way in which the breathing itself sends a message of merging with the space which you are currently sitting in. Breathing in, feeling how the outside comes in. Breathing out and sensing how your inside meets what's outside. Be with that for a few moments as the music takes you into the in-breath, out-breath of oneness. Sense how there's a beautiful, warm energy around you. And as you breathe in, you breathe that in. As your inside becomes brightened by the light which surrounds you. Sense how Hashem now sends you the brightness of wisdom as you turn your face slightly upwards and receive that light. A light of wisdom, of understanding. And let it enter your heart as a light of knowledge, intimate knowledge, and love. Now I want to invite you to imaginatively send a light from behind your head, extending backwards, through many generations. Let a message come to you from a parent who once spoke a word of wisdom to you. Remember that moment. Extend backwards to a grandparent speaking wisdom to you. Or simply being in their beneficent presence, shining now towards you. Let this beam extend farther back now to generations you didn't know, sending light towards you. Wise people, perhaps from early teachers, sages, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Let the name of someone come up for you that you received wisdom from, and let that be now added to this light shining behind you, extending back. Extending back to earlier and earlier times. Let names you know come up. See if images associated with them. Extend this back to the times of the Talmud, of the Midrash, of the Zohar, of the revelation at Sinai, all the way back to Yaakov, Yitzchak, Abraham, Adam and Chava. Feel how all these generations feed into your awakening now. Come back to the presence of your own self here as the light behind you, so rich and full, shines towards your mind, your heart, your entire body from the back. And now, allow your face and your heart to glow forward. Bring up a moment when you said something to a child with kindness, compassionately sharing wisdom. Perhaps your own child or another child. Enjoy for a moment the pleasure of sharing wisdom you experienced then, and touch now. Perhaps you've seen others teaching children. Perhaps you've merited seeing your children teaching children. Extend this forward to generations to come, a light shining out from you towards future generations, receiving light, deepening it and augmenting it with their own light. See this extending forward, and now begin spreading it out to fill the entire creation, spreading out to other peoples, spreading through the plants, spreading to the sky, a light of wisdom filling and covering all as you yourself become immersed in it, merged with it, as light glows out from you at all sides. Intensify the love, the passion, the care, the knowing. Simply be in that spread of the great awakening, the awakening which will come with the Redeemer's arrival, and all will be awake to the oneness and love of Hashem. Thanks to all the many generations that have come to know Him.